My grandfather was an officer for over 40 years. This is one of his scariest and saddest stories, told in the first-person perspective. Patrol nights on the city's east side were usually routine, a mix of speed traps and noise complaints. But one particular night, I responded to a call that still sends chills down my spine. It was close to 3 a.m. when dispatch relayed a call about a possible break-in at an old warehouse. My partner, Mike, and I were the closest unit. Arriving on scene, we noticed the warehouse's main entrance slightly ajar. Our flashlights cut through the pitch-black interior, revealing the remnants of what seemed to be an illegal gambling operation. Empty chairs circled makeshift poker tables, cards and cash strewn everywhere. Suddenly, a muffled cry echoed from deeper within the warehouse. Following the sound, we navigated a labyrinth of crates and pallets. The cries grew louder, more desperate. We finally stumbled upon a makeshift cell, its barred door padlocked. Inside, a young girl, bound and gagged, her eyes filled with terror. As Mike radioed for backup, I worked on picking the lock, but before I could get it open, footsteps echoed behind us. Turning, we were met by a group of 5 men, faces concealed by masks, each wielding a menacing length of pipe or bat. We were outnumbered and outgunned, and the nearest backup was miles away. Adrenaline surged. We tried to negotiate, but they advanced steadily, intent clear in their eyes. The young girl's muffled cries grew more frantic. Time seemed to slow. Just as the situation appeared hopeless, the roar of multiple police sirens pierced the night. The men halted, glancing around in panic. Backup had arrived sooner than expected. Realizing they were cornered, the men fled through a back exit. We quickly freed the young woman and gave chase, but the assailants disappeared into the night. Later, we learned that the girl had been kidnapped after someone had lost a bet and did not have the money, a messed-up form of ransom. The perpetrators had ties to a notorious gang, operating in the shadows. The event was a wake-up call for our precinct. We'd always known gangs were active, but the level of organization and brutality was eye-opening. The East Side patrols were increased, and more undercover operations were greenlit. It's a night I won't ever forget, a night that redefined the meaning of fear for me. The following audio has a couple spots where the audio messed up. I do apologize, and I am working on getting better equipment. While we are at this intermission, I ask that you like and subscribe if you are enjoying the video so far. Without further ado, I've been an officer now for 15 years. This is one of the saddest calls I've been on. There is a happy ending, thankfully. I will change some names and location for privacy reasons. Here we go. It was a calm and fairly quiet evening. I was part of the night shift, patrolling the area with my partner, Elena. We were making our usual rounds. A call came through about a distressed individual atop of a 20-story building, one of the tallest in the district. We arrived to find a crowd gathered below, their eyes locked upwards. Following their gaze, I spotted a figure standing precariously at the building's edge. Elena and I dashed into the building, taking the elevator to the top floor. We quickly emerged onto the rooftop. The man was middle-aged, his face etched with despair, oblivious to our presence. "Hey," Elena began softly, inching closer, hands raised to show she meant no harm. "I'm Elena, and this is Alex. We just want to talk." He turned, his eyes brimming with tears. "Nobody understands," he whispered. We learned his name was Henry. He spoke of his life's tragedies, the loss of his wife to an illness, his daughter moving away, his business collapsing. Every word weighed heavy with sorrow. Time felt suspended. The distant hum of the city was all that separated us from the void. Elena, with her gentle manner, kept the conversation flowing, emphasizing understanding and hope. Suddenly, Henry's phone rang, piercing the tense atmosphere. He glanced at the caller ID, and for a moment, despair gave way to surprise. "Lucy," he mouthed. Taking a deep breath, he answered, "Daddy?" The voice on the other end quivered. It was his estranged daughter. They spoke, words hushed, but the relief and love were palpable. The turning point came when Lucy, realizing her father's intent, pleaded with him. "Daddy, please come home. I've missed you." The emotional weight of the moment hit us all. Henry stepped back from the edge, collapsing into Elena's comforting embrace. Backup and medical teams arrived, ensuring Henry received the support he needed. The incident was a stark reminder of the unseen battles many face, and the thin line between hope and despair. I beg anyone listening that if you are going through something, please, please, please get the proper help. Even if you think nobody cares, I can promise you someone does. Be kind to everyone. You never know when someone is on their last straw. Working nights, you get accustomed to a certain rhythm of the city. Its silent hum, the sporadic lights, and the random calls. But there are some shifts you never forget, no matter how much you try. One evening, as the city was wrapped in darkness, the radio buzzed to life. Unit 12. Please respond to a welfare check. Neighbors reported they haven't seen the resident in days, but they've heard strange noises. Upon reaching the nondescript apartment building, everything seemed ordinary. My partner Jake and I made our way to the reported unit. No answer after several knocks, but we could hear a soft, rhythmic thumping inside. The door was unlocked. Inside, the apartment was immaculately clean, eerily so. The thumping grew louder as we followed it to the bathroom. We weren't prepared for the sight, a dripping tap. Below it, on the bathroom floor, lay the resident, eyes wide open, face frozen in an expression of pure horror. It looked like he'd been dead for days, but there were no visible signs of trauma. The apartment's landline started ringing, making us both jump. Hesitantly, I answered. A raspy voice whispered, "You shouldn't have come in." Then silence. We hurriedly radioed for backup and forensics. As we waited, Jake found a series of photographs scattered across the bedroom floor. Each showed the deceased man sleeping, taken from various nights. But the most disturbing part? The last photo was from the previous night. The realization was chilling. Someone had been in the apartment with him, watching him, and they might have still been nearby when we arrived. Forensics found no signs of forced entry or struggle. The cause of death remained undetermined. The phone call, the photographs, no leads came from them. The case went cold, but the weight of it lingered. The experience changed me. Every shadow during a night shift became a potential hiding place, every silence a cover for something sinister. Realizing that danger could lurk in the most ordinary places, where you least expect it, was a lesson I'd carry with me forever. It wasn't the gore or violence that haunted me. It was the unseen, the unexplained, the lurking malice in the heart of the everyday.